Well, the comment section on the last video has been lively, and you're 100% right to call me out. I sat right here, I looked at the data, and I predicted an All Blacks win. But England, in front of a roaring Twickenham, delivered a tactical masterclass and proved me completely wrong. I think I'm officially cursed. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Last time, I predicted the England women would lose. They went and demolished the Canadians in the World Cup final at Twickenham. This time, I predict the England men would lose, and they go and pump the All Blacks again at Twickenham. Lesson learned. I'll stop predicting England losses. So, on that note, I'm here to officially eat my slice of humble pie. Give it to me in the comments. I've got my fork ready, and I deserve it. So, before we break it down, I want to say congratulations to England. This wasn't just a win, it was a historic one. England had only beaten the All Blacks twice in the last 20 years and only thrice before this game in the modern professional era. So this is a massive, massive scalp. And for a channel that's all about why things happen, the why of this game is absolutely fascinating. My prediction was wrong, but the script, the tactical battle I laid out is exactly what happened. And it all comes down to one stat. Welcome back to Rugby from the Stands. My entire prediction was built on one fatal flaw I saw in England's DNA. I called it their butchery stat. I said their 1.69 points per 22 entry would cost them the game. And at halftime, I looked like a bloody genius. At the break, the All Blacks had averaged a lethal 4 points every time they got into the England's 22. England, they were averaging a miserable 1.6 points. It was exactly the butchery I warned about. The All Blacks were massively overperforming their entries, and England were massively underperforming. It was the statistical story of the game. But Borthwick had the right man at 10 for this exact moment. Personally, I'm a big fan of Finn Smith. I think he's a better overall 10 than Ford. But for this game, Ford was the best man. This is the George Ford redemption arc. A year ago, he missed the drop goal to win it. This year, he used drop goals to start the win. Those two drop goals right before the half, after England had fallen into a 12-0 hole, partly from Ford's own restart kick going out on the full, those two kicks changed the emotional trajectory of the game. It was pragmatic, it was calm, it was process over vibes. It was a masterclass in staying in the fight. And it meant the All Blacks went into the shed up by only one single point. And honestly, that's when they should have been the most nervous. That 12-11 halftime lead felt so dangerous. This entire year, the All Blacks have a negative point differential in the third quarter. They always fade after halftime. They've simply swapped the old fourth quarter fade from last year for a third quarter fade this year. So what happens at 41 minutes, the start of the third quarter? The predicted All Black fade arrives. Cody Taylor gets a yellow card. In my preview video, I said one of the only ways that England is going to win is if the All Blacks are ill-disciplined. At halftime, New Zealand had conceded 0 penalties. 0. Their discipline was perfect, but the third quarter fade is real. The discipline cracks, and at the exact same time, Razor makes a baffling substitution. He pulls Cam Roigard off. Why? Why do you take off your best back, the man whose 50-22 created the second try? Even Cam looked puzzled. The drop-off to Cortez Ratima was not massive. He's a great halfback. I'm a Chiefs fan after all. But he's not a match winner like Cam Roigard is. So you have a yellow card, plus a bizarre coaching decision, and 1 minute later, Sam Underhill is over the line. That was the moment. The All Blacks' perfect storm of indiscipline and bad strategy, and England, for the first time, started to become clinical. From that moment on, the script I laid out actually came true. And we have to give Steve Borthwick his flowers. This was a tactical and strategic masterclass. He had a plan, and his team executed it. You have to give flowers to the Pom squad. They came on and had an impact. They looked more dominant. They looked hungrier. I said the Pom squad could be the difference. And how was the game sealed? Henry Pollock off the bench, the human dynamo. He gets the turnover. He kicks it forward. He kicks it again for Tom Roebuck to finish. That is the finisher's script. played to perfection. I said the scrum would be a battle. I thought New Zealand's bench would flip it, but I was wrong. England's scrum was flawless, 100% win rate. They won that battle, as Borthwick's plan was perfectly suited for the atmosphere. Twickenham was a cauldron. It was hostile. The fans sang over the haka. The England team stood in that V formation reminiscent of the 2019 World Cup semi-final. Clearly, they were up for it. But here's the kicker. When you look at England's stats, they actually had an awful game in key areas. They lost 6 lineouts. Their lineout success rate was a shambolic 57%. England also gave up more penalties, 11-6. But they won comfortably by 14 points. Try playing like that against France or South Africa and they'll be taken to the cleaners. Make no mistake, this strategy wasn't a world-beating plan. It was a masterclass in attacking the All Blacks' one specific Achilles heel. And that is what's so frustrating. For All Blacks fans, this is a massive wake-up call. It shows our struggle under the high ball isn't a nuisance. It's a game-losing strategic vulnerability. Think about it. Last year, our fatal flaw was the blitz defense. Rushing line speed had us in a panic. We fixed it. We got smarter. Our pods are more effective. Our backs stand deeper. That problem is largely solved. But Borthwick's England, with the boots of Ford and Mitchell, just mercilessly exposed the next problem. That's why their failing lineout didn't matter. They knew our aerial game was the real target. That was their core plan, and it worked to perfection. And the All Blacks coaching staff had no answer. Back in 2009, the Springboks peppered us with box kicks and beat us 3 games on the trot. Wayne Smith, Graham Henry, and Steve Hansen locked heads and came up with a plan. They brought in an AFL coach, Mick Byrne, to teach us the skills needed to defuse those aerial bombs. What's the coaching staff doing right now? Did you see it? On a couple of occasions, I saw the All Blacks were actively not going for the ball. They let the ball bounce. Were they trying to protect themselves or something? I thought playing for the black jersey meant you show courage. You put your body on the line for it. Last week, you saw Manny Boso go up for a high ball against Fiji with no care for himself. You see it with Cheslin Colby or Kurtley Aronser. These are small men, but have big hearts. We didn't see that dog in this All Black side. Allowing the ball to bounce like that, it was embarrassing to see. To me, the coaches didn't have any clear plan to counter what we all saw coming from a mile away. What's frustrating is that instead of the All Blacks targeting England's vulnerabilities, remember the 57% line-out efficiency? They didn't look like they had a plan at all. If they did have a plan, the execution let them down. What's truly frustrating is that the usual stats, having a better set piece, winning the penalty count, should win you games. But last night, we couldn't even kick the ball to touch cleanly off penalties. We gifted England possession or territory, or sometimes both. Our strategy, if you can even call it that, seemed to be keep D-Mac on the bench, bring him on late, and hope he wins the game with some crazy miracle play. If that's your strategy, anyone can do a coach's job. That's not a strategy, that's just hope. So, here's what I'm owning today. I thought New Zealand's bench would dominate the scrum. It didn't. England's did. And now we're seeing another vulnerability at scrum time. We are being pushed back. My biggest prediction, I said England's 22-meter butchery would be fatal. Instead, they fixed it. They fixed it live on the field in the second half. They went from 1.6% per entry to being as clinical as the All Blacks by full time. Both teams averaged around 3 points per entry by full time. England closed the gap. They solved their biggest flaw in real time. They kept their identity. They kicked 34 times. They made 192 tackles. But the All Blacks, not having Caleb Clark on the wing and not having Fainga Anuku in the midfield, did have a negative impact. Between Tupaya and Proctor, they actually missed 5 tackles. Compare that to Ollie Lawrence and Fraser Dingwall, who only missed 2 tackles between them. Also, our back three isn't lethal enough. Lakai was a workhorse, but Simon Parker didn't have the necessary impact. Overall, it was a masterclass in attacking the All Blacks at their weakest point. And what's disappointing is that we knew this was coming. I confessed in the comments. And side note, I actually do read and reply to every comment. Unless, of course, you're blatantly being a troll. But I actually confessed that I was feeling super nervous before the game. I said 2 things could impact the final outcome: discipline and the high ball. And it played out exactly that way. The good news, the glass half full view, is that we have something to work on, a main focus for next season. But overall, England's coaching was better. Borthwick's plan beat Razor's hope. England's leadership on the field was better. The why is simple. England fixed their one big flaw. They waited for their opponent to crack, and then they seized the moment. I'll take the L, but the analysis doesn't stop. Congratulations again to England, a huge, deserved, and tactically fascinating win. It's your turn now. Tell me what you saw and share your thoughts in the comments. As I mentioned before, I read every single comment and I respond to every single comment. So keep those comments coming in. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.